We track our years by the Earth's orbit and months by the moon. Those are physical realities. The 7-day week, however, is a human invention. Across the Western world, Sunday serves as a global pause button. Shops close down, highways empty out, and the frantic pace of modern civilization briefly stops. To understand why we stop on this specific day, we have to look backward. The original rhythm of rest began with the ancient Jewish Sabbath, which traced its logic directly to the creation narrative in the book of Genesis, where God rested on the 7th day. Observing this Saturday rest was not an optional tradition, it was the 4th commandment. In the ancient world, taking one full day off every week was viewed as a strange, lazy habit by the Greeks and Romans. For the Jewish people, strictly adhering to this law was their ultimate mark of identity. So how did a rigid ancient law shift its required day of rest by exactly 24 hours across the entire Western Hemisphere? 2 millennia of theological disputes and political collisions shaped the architecture of our modern calendar. The fracture began with Jesus of Nazareth. Born a Jew, he kept the law, but he challenged the rigid ways it was enforced by religious authorities, healing the sick on the Sabbath and defending his followers for picking grain. That conflict ultimately ended with his crucifixion on a Friday. He lay dead in the tomb throughout Saturday. For early believers, this was the final Sabbath rest of the Old Covenant, the Creator resting in the earth. For generations living by a Saturday rest, a Sunday resurrection upended their sense of time, making the first day their center. Early theologians called Sunday the 8th day. If 7 represented the old world's completion, the resurrection broke the timeline to create a new one. The shift away from Saturday did not happen overnight. But when Roman armies destroyed the temple in Jerusalem in 70 AD, the split between traditional Judaism and the new Christian faith became permanent. For decades, early Christians still worked their normal Roman jobs on Sunday, waking up before dawn to gather in secret. The first day of the week became a radical weekly mini-Easter for a persecuted minority. Meanwhile, the Roman Empire was operating on an entirely different system. They had adopted a week based on astrology, naming their first day Dies Solis, the day of the sun. In the 4th century, Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity, bringing his imperial authority with him. But Constantine was a politician with a dual allegiance. He worshipped the Christian God while maintaining a deep reverence for the traditional Roman sun cult. In 321 AD, he issued a sweeping decree commanding that, on the venerable day of the sun, all magistrates, city residents, and workshops must rest. The edict was a brilliant compromise. Pagan citizens honored their sun god, and Christians gained their sacred day, recognized and protected by the state. Over the next few centuries, church councils officially banned resting on Saturday. They took the strict, identity-defining legalism of the ancient Jewish law and pasted it directly onto the Sunday. The state and the medieval church gradually turned the Lord's Day into a rigid tool of legal control. That religious grip held until the 19th century. The Industrial Revolution brought massive factories that required endless production, disrupting the ancient religious calendar to keep machines running 7 days a week. The exhausted working class eventually fought back. Labor movements began striking, demanding a radical new concept, a protected block of time away from the assembly line. The push for this multi-day break was driven heavily by millions of Jewish immigrants arriving in urban centers. They needed Saturday off to observe their traditional Sabbath, while the Christian population still demanded Sunday. In 1926, the industrialist Henry Ford provided a massive capitalist solution. He officially instituted a Friday night to Sunday night weekend for his workforce. Ford realized that giving his workers 2 full days of leisure time would give them a reason to buy and drive his automobiles. The modern weekend was born, a 5-day work week that balanced ancient theology, labor rights, and the demands of consumer capitalism. Today, Sunday is largely stripped of its religious adherence. The day originally won by faith is now heavily devoted to commerce, chores, and sports. Yet the ancient history remains baked right into our daily speech. In Russian, for instance, the literal translation of the word for Sunday is resurrection. As we transitioned into a completely secular weekend, It raises a question. Did we lose the deep, soul-restoring intent of the original Sabbath pause? Without a socially enforced, designated day to step off the treadmill, human life easily flatlines into a state of constant production. Whoever controls the calendar controls the culture. And as you look ahead to your next week, you have to decide exactly how you want to spend your inherited 8th day.